safety knows the severity of invoking the Emergencies Act, the historical significance, the impact on due process and charter rights. The details of why and how this government invoked the Act are key. They will set a precedent in Canada on government powers, Mr. Speaker. And I'm sure the minister would agree there is no room for being misunderstood when setting historical precedent. There is also no room for hiding cabinet documents from Justice Rouleau's inquiry. Will the Liberal government waive cabinet confidence and release the documents to Justice Rouleau?
The Honourable Minister.
As we said all along, the government will cooperate with Justice Rouleau, will cooperate with the Joint Parliamentary Committee to be transparent, because I agree with my colleague that we need to scrutinize the invocation of the Emergencies Act, Mr. Speaker. My point is that the facts are very clear. We were in the midst and in the throes of an unprecedented public order emergency in the opinion of nonpartisan professional law enforcement, and when we sought their advice about which powers were needed to restore public safety, we listened to it and we invoked to restore public safety, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kildonan St. Paul.
The minister's being a bit vague on my question of whether his government's going to release the documents, and the question of cabinet confidence is critical to the Rouleau inquiry, as argued by former clerk of the Privy Council, who said cabinet confidence, quote, should not be utilized to impede the search of the truth where the validity of government action is seriously contested and the law demands that it be reviewed, as is the case with the recent declaration of emergency in response of the trucker convoy protests and blockade. So in other words, this is a really big deal, Mr. Speaker. Will the Liberals respect Justice Rouleau's request and hand over the cabinet documents, yes or no?
Great question. The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, when we invoked the Emergencies Act, we did it to restore public safety after we sought the advice of law enforcement, Mr. Speaker. Following that, we commenced the public inquiry, giving
I'm sure the Honourable Member for Kildonan St. Paul missed the first part, so maybe start right from the top, Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we invoked the Emergencies Act to restore public safety. We did it following the conversations and consultations that we had with law enforcement, including on which powers were needed to restore public safety. At the conclusion of it, we revoked the Emergencies Act, and as part of that, we're now participating in an exercise of transparency, including with Judge Rouleau, who has the power to compel witnesses, documents, including classified information. Of course, the government will cooperate because we agree that the Act should be scrutinized so that it is never abused, Mr. Speaker, and we will always follow that principle. Thank you.
The Honourable Member.